what are the reasons for the problem, why it has happened, how it has happened, when it has happened, where it has happened, why not it could be avoided, how it could be avoided in future, who can be in a position to avoid. So that kind of investigation is to be made. That is another outcome of our program. For this purpose, the student should be in a position to utilize the ultra modern tools. They should be competent, or they should have the awareness, or they should have at least the basic knowledge of using the modern tools. If that kind of knowledge is not there, they cannot use the modern tools. So they should be encouraged to use the modern tools. Then only they can become the engineer and the society. Then we should have the focus on environment as well as the sustainability. See, getting success is not enough. That should be sustained for a long period. We have to maintain our development, and we have to develop our growth. We have to retain our development. We have to retain our success. At the same time, we should be aware of environment protection. So we should be eco-friendly. Our activities should be eco-friendly. We have to preserve our environment. We have to preserve the nature. That is what important. Then comes ethics. So we should be doing moral practices. Our own graduates should involve in ethical and moral practices in their career and in their professional life. Then individual as well as teamwork. Even if our students are appointed in a position to act individually or to work with a team or to lead a team, they should be capable, they should be competent to work in the status of or in the position of individual membership or a team membership. They should be able to work. Then communication. I told you, no, the communicative skills are more important in the dynamic world. What we know, what we are developing, what skills we have developed, that should be communicated. If we are lacking in communicative skills, we cannot do anything. So we have to develop communicative skills. Then project management and finance. See, the outcome-based education, program objects, program outcomes, we expect that we have to develop skills towards financial management as well as the project management. And the last one, as stated in Washington Accord as program outcomes, is lifelong learning. Once after completing the graduation, once after getting the degree, we should never stop learning. So learning is a never-ending process. It is a continuous process. So it should be carried on lifelong. So lifelong learning is the last program outcome as stated in Washington Accord. Then comes the prime focus of outcome-based education. So course outcomes. For after framing the program outcomes, we have to frame the course outcomes. This is the prime focus. This is crucial part of outcome-based education. This is more important. So we have to emphasize on course outcomes. So we have certain courses in our program. Some 20 courses are there. Some 22 courses are there, like financial management or the corporate law or financial management, financial accounting, principles of accountancy, corporate accounting, management accounting, or accounting for managers, income tax law and practice, auditing or practical auditing, banking law and practice, that kind of courses we have. For each and every course, we have to frame separate objectives. Any number of outcomes we can frame for particular course. So a course is there. For example, principles of accountancy or introduction to accounting is one of the courses of our program. So we have to frame course outcomes for principles of accountancy or financial accounting or auditing. So separate and exclusive program outcomes or course outcomes are to be framed. Then these course outcomes should focus on the requirement of the program outcomes. So program outcomes are ahead of course outcomes. So course outcomes are to be moved towards the requirement of program outcomes. So CO is to be aligned, is to be framed in consistent with the or in commensuration with the program outcomes. So there should be a mapping between CO and PO. Each CO will be mapped to other POs. So course outcomes are to be mapped with the program outcomes. POs will be then mapped to the program educational objectives. So COs are mapped with the POs. POs are mapped with the POs. So that is to be made. All these things are possible if the assessment methods are designed accordingly. So we have to design our own assessment methods in relation to these COs, POs, and POs. See, now the question is how to write the outcomes, the course outcomes. While when we are involved in the course development or curriculum development, we are framing the syllabus. At the time of framing the curriculum or syllabus, we have to write the course outcomes. See, program educational objectives, program outcomes are there, that we know clearly. But the thing is, how to write course outcomes for each and every course. See, there are 4 rules or 4 hints, 4 tips given for writing outcomes successfully or effectively. Number 1, the course outcome is to be written by beginning with a verb. So a verb is to be used as the beginning word for writing the course outcome. So you start with a verb, and please understand there is a limitation in the number of characters for writing the outcome. It is better to limit, to constrain the course outcomes with a maximum of 400 characters. So it should not exceed. You just ensure that the course outcome is written with the beginning of a verb and it does not exceed 400 characters. That means 400 letters. Then here another tip is given: you should avoid special characters. While writing the outcomes, special characters are to be excluded. At the same time, special formatting is also to be excluded. So these are the 4 tips given for writing, or 4 steps given for writing effective course outcomes. So begin with a verb, limit the length of each learning outcome, each course outcome with 400 characters. See, you can have different course outcomes. If you feel that the outcome should exceed 400 characters, you limit it with 400 characters and you can add one more course outcome. Rather than continuing the course outcome, continuing a single course outcome with more than 400 characters, you can break it into two outcomes with less than 400 characters. And the third one is you have to exclude the special characters, and the last one is excluding the special formatting. Then one more hint is given. We have to start with an action verb. Earlier it was said you have to begin with a verb. Now the strong hint or tip is given that you have to use action verb. You have to use the action verb rather than non-action verb. I will explain you what are the action verbs and what are the non-action verbs. So this is the first one, and it should be followed with a statement. So there is a statement that should be followed with the verb given in the course outcome. See here, Bloom's taxonomy is there. Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy says that the educational objectives are classified into three domains: cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. In the cognitive domain, that is intellectual domain or educational domain, that is called cognitive. So it is related to knowledge, cognitive domain. Again, this cognitive domain is divided into 6 objectives: knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. These are the 6 objectives categorized under cognitive domain. And recently, these 6 objectives have been modified as remembering and understanding, applying and analyzing, evaluating and creating, identifying and summarizing, applying, then demonstrating knowledge. So these are the 6 objectives of education. So as far as the remembering and understanding is concerned, as I told you, we have to begin with action verb. What are the action verbs? Recall, identify, illustrate, summarize. So the students will recall, the students will identify, the students will illustrate, the students will summarize. So these are the action verbs that can be used for the first one, that is remembering and understanding. Then comes applying and analyzing. Here, the ability to differentiate, the ability to integrate, the ability to solve, the ability to analyze are the skills expected to be possessed by our learners. Then the last one is evaluating and creating. Here, test. The verbs to be used are test, revise, compose. So the learner should be able to test the principle, to revise the strategy, or to compose certain policies like that. So these are the skills expected, and we call it as outcomes. We call it as course outcomes. Then, as I told you, the verb should be followed with a statement. See here, identify and summarize. What is to identify and what is to summarize? Important future is to be identified. What are the important futures during the major periods in the history? So that is to be identified and to be summarized. Then applying. important concepts and principles. We have to apply the concepts. We have to apply the principles in order to draw valid conclusions. Then demonstration of knowledge about the, we have to demonstrate our knowledge about the significance of current research. See, for example, in the recent period, we are conducting so many researches to find out the vaccination for COVID-19. So the significance of current research should have, the learner should have knowledge towards the current research and its significance. Now let me show you the accent verbs and non-accent verbs. So here, define, categorize, calculate, critic, interpret, create, summarize, hypothesize, and defend. These are the examples of accent verbs. While writing your course outcome, you can use any of these accent verbs. And as far as the non-accent verbs are concerned, understand, it cannot be measured. Learn cannot be measured. Appreciate, become familiar with, observe, read, consider, demonstrate, know. So these are the non-accent verbs. But the outcomes, the course outcomes are to be started with accent verbs like define, categorize, and all. So we have to keep in mind the accent verbs. So similar verbs are there. So many accent verbs are there. I have just given you certain examples. See, as I told you, these are the Bloom's cognitive taxonomy recently adapted. So recall, examine, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Earlier it was knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Now the latest taxonomy is recall, examine, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. See, here we have number of verbs that is to be used at the beginning of our own course outcome. See, for recollecting or for recalling, describe, name, find, list, relate, write. This kind of verbs can be used. Second one, examine, explain, compare, discuss, predict, outline, restate, like that. Then apply, complete, use, examine, illustrate, classify, solve. Then for analyze, compare and contrast, examine, explain, identify, categorize, and investigate. Similarly, for evaluation and for creation, we have number of verbs that can be used for writing our course outcomes. Now, the main question of many participants, which I have been a resource person, the participants asked, sir, how to write the outcomes, sir? How to write the course outcomes, sir? For that, I have given you certain examples. See, the student's will, that is written at the top. I have given a lot of outcomes, course outcomes. I told you, no, the course outcomes are to be started with the accent verbs. So the verb is identify. For example, if we are offering fundamentals of accounts or principles of accountancy as one of our courses, you are supposed to write course outcome for this course, for this subject, or for this paper. So what are the contents? What are the syllabus? Types of accounts is the part of our syllabus. One of our units contains types of accounts. So types of accounts, we know what is personal account, what is real account, what is nominal account, we know. But the students will be able to describe everything. If you are asking the question directly, they will be answering. What are the types of accounts? They will be able to answer. So what are the types of accounts? Personal account, real account, nominal account, they will be answering. But the question is, could you identify whether stock is a personal account, real account, or nominal account? So this kind of assessment is to be made. So during the course of conducting the subject or teaching the subject, you should make your students familiarize with the identification of types of accounts, as I told you. So if a person's name is given, an organization's name is given, for example, State Bank of India, to which type of account it belongs, they may not be knowing. So we have to encourage, we have to develop the knowledge of our students to identify the type of accounts. Bank, personal account. Expenditure, nominal account. Interest, nominal account. Stock, real account. Debtors, real account. That kind of identification ability should be there. So our course outcome of this paper is the students will identify the type of accounts. So as teachers, we should have confidence that the students will be able to identify the types of accounts. Accordingly, we have to teach. Then apply the rules of journal entry. For each and every type of account, I told you no, for personal account, there is a rule. For real account, there is a rule. For nominal account, there is a rule. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Debit all expenses and losses, credit all income and gains. They know the rules. According to the traditional education, they will be familiar with the rules. But how to apply the rules? How to apply the rules for any particular transactions? See, for example, cash remitted to the bank or salary paid, goods purchased on credit. So here, what are the two accounts affected? The students should be able to identify the accounts that are affected. Then they have to apply, they have to recall the rules, they have to apply the rules, then they have to pass the journal entry. So that kind of ability must be there. That is what called applying the rules. Then based on the journal entry, they should be able to prepare ledger accounts. They'll be able to tally the debit and credit accounts. They should be able to prepare the final accounts. So these are the examples of course outcomes, and some more examples are there. Students will differentiate the methods of pricing. You know, we have different methods of pricing. Skimming pricing is there, penetration pricing is there. We know pretty well what is skimming price, what is penetration pricing. That is, there is no doubt at all. But the students will be able to apply the suitable method of pricing under a particular situation, under the particular circumstance. For example, in case of FMCG products, what kind of method of pricing is suggested, or what is suitable method of pricing, they should be able to understand. See, for example, FMCG, fast moving consumer goods are there. The R&D expenditure, research and development expenditure, or R&D cost is less for FMCG products. Whereas in case of computer, in case of laptop, in case of some advanced equipment, the R&D cost will be higher. So in case of products having higher R&D cost, What is the method of pricing suitable? They have to apply the skimming pricing. So initially, the price should be fixed at higher cost in the case of products having higher R&D expenditure. Whereas in the case of products having lesser R&D cost, the suitable method of pricing is penetration pricing. So initially, the price is fixed at a lower rate and gradually the price is increased. So that kind of knowledge should be there. So our course outcome is the students will be able to apply the suitable method of pricing. So here our assessment should be, in the case of FMCG product, what method of pricing do you suggest? In the case of engineering products, engineering goods or industrial goods, what kind of pricing do you suggest? Like that we have to ask the questions. The assessment should be made like that. Then similarly, the students will be able to distinguish between bullish and bearish market. So what is bullish trend? What is bearish trend? They may be knowing. Then what is why it is called as bullish market and why it is called as a bearish market? How they are affected by bullish market? How they are affected by bearish market? See, in the case of bullish market, the prices of shares are increasing. In the case of bearish market, the prices are decreasing. Why we call it as bullish market? In the case, the bull affects the people by lifting them up through their thorns. So they lift the persons being attacked. But as far as the bear is concerned, it beats downwards. So if downward trend is there, it is called bearish market. If upward trend is there, it is called bearish market. So they have to understand. Then how to earn profit under both the situations, even during the bullish market or even during the bearish market. How can they earn profit? How can the investors earn profit? Our learners should be capable of offering suggestions. See, they know what is bearish market, what is bullish market, they know. But the thing is, being graduates with our program like BCom Accounts and Finance, they should be able to offer suggestions how to earn profit during bullish trend or during bearish trend. So these are the course outcomes. Then they should be able to interpret the profitability ratios, liquidity ratios, then the turnover ratios or operating ratios. We know what is our profitability ratio. What is liquidity ratio? We know. What is current ratio? We know. Our students will be familiar with the current ratio, familiar with the quick ratio. But the thing is, they should be able to interpret. See, current ratio is there. Current assets by current liabilities. It is a formula. What is the ideal current ratio? 2:1. It is well known. Right? Now we have to interpret. We have computed the current ratio of a particular company for 5 years. It is shown like this. Year 1, current ratio is 2:1. Year 2, 3:1. Year 4, 4:1. Year 3, 4:1. Year 4, 5:1. Year 6, year 5, 6:1. Like that. It is constantly increasing. So a consistency is there. It is increasing. It is showing upward trend. Hello. So current ratio is there. We have computed the current ratios 2:1, 3:1, 4:1, 5:1, 6:1, like that. We know ideal ratio is 2:1. Normally, if the ratio is above the ideal ratio, we call it as favorable condition. But here, can we say that the current ratio of 6:1 is a favorable one or not? It is not. Hello? Hello? Right. So, here, if the current ratio is enormously high, what does it mean? The current assets are more. Either stock is more, or debtor is more, or bills receivable is more. What does that mean? If stock is more, we are not able to sell the goods. If debtor is more, we are not able to improve the efficiency of our debt collection mechanism. So that kind of interpreting ability must be there. Then they have to identify the appropriate method of computing depreciation. So these are the outcomes. Some more examples are there. The students will differentiate the methods of valuation of stock, apply the suitable method of costing. They will be able to evaluate the capital budgeting methods. They will be able to suggest the capital structure, which is the suitable structure, whether the owned capital should be more or the borrowed capital should be more based on the rate of returns. They have to suggest. Similarly, they should be able to apply different marginal costing techniques. They should be able to distinguish the channels of distribution. So like that, we have to write our own course outcomes. Now we should be able to understand the difference between course objectives and course outcomes. Yes, objectives are at the entry level. Outcomes are at the exit level. So here, in terms of scope, as far as the objectives are concerned, skills, tools, or content to engage and explain a particular subject. As far as the outcomes are concerned, overarching results, subsequent learning. The target of objectives is details of content coverage and activities which make up course curriculum. As far as the outcomes are concerned, higher level of thinking skills that integrate the content and activities. The major influence of objectives is input. Here it is output. Then number. Objectives can be numerous, specific, and detailed to direct tally and direct the daily activities and material. Here, learning objectives are limited to 5 to 9 to facilitate modification and improvement of teaching and learning. Then comes the assessment of outcomes. So OBE is assessment driven. Assessment is used to determine whether or not a qualification or a condition or a criterion or skill has been achieved or not. So the assessment should be focusing on assessing these criteria or assessing this achievement. So this is to determine whether learners are successful. That is, whether the students know they have learned well. The learners must be assessed using the assessment criteria of the outcome. Then finally, the outcome-based education assessment may be either direct or indirect. So direct or indirect measures of students' learning. As far as the direct measures are concerned, the measures are to demonstrate the achievements of our learners, and it should involve quantitative measurement procedures. As far as the indirect assessment is concerned, it is based on opinions and the expectations or perceptions which we receive from the employers or in the practical life situation. So these are the things I wanted to share with you. Now it is the time for questions. Now you can ask any questions if you have.
Thank you. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Kumaresan sir, for your wonderful informations. This was an informative session for all of us. I just want to say happily, this was a great suggestion given to us by our great professor of Vistas, Dr. Swaminathan sir, advisor, accreditation and assessment. And of course, he is also online and he has attended your session. Can I shall I call upon our advisor, great Professor Swaminathan sir, to deliver some few words, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, please. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, professor.
Sir, it's a great pleasure to invite our Professor Swaminathan sir, advisor, accreditation and assessment of Vistas, to give the words. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please,
So I
sir.
am Dr. Kumaresan.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. My dear faculty members of Commerce Department, I am very happy to be with you. This outcome-based education is a must now. UGC is advising all the higher education institutions to follow outcome-based education. They have even given a model curriculum, and they have always insisting on ability enhancement compulsory courses and also some more skill development courses, so that the student at the end of 3-year UG program will be ready for placement. Whichever company comes to the campus for hiring, they will not hesitate to hire the student from Vistas. So we are following this outcome-based education in letter and spirit. And during the recent accreditation by NAAC, we got A grade. Earlier we were in B grade. So we have moved to A grade. Our respected Chancellor is advising to go up further to A grade. We have to go to A grade. All the 600 faculty members of Vistas should be thorough with outcome-based learning. They should be very clear in the course outcome, program outcome, everything. And once they are very clear, they can inform the students also what is meant by choice-based credit system, what is meant by outcome-based education, so that the student will be able to answer some questions during the interview. Whenever the NAAC team comes, they allot separate time for faculty meeting, another time with the interaction with the students. They will throw some questions. What is the difference between program educational objectives and program outcomes? Very subtle difference. They will expect any one of the faculty present there to answer. If you are very thorough, we will give the correct answer and they will be fully satisfied. As chairman of NAAC peer team, I have gone to different institutions in the country. I have done this. During the faculty interview, I will ask the question. During the interview with the students, I will ask what is in the choice-based credit system, how credits are allocated and other things. The entire team means students, management, all should be in the same direction of successfully implementing outcome-based education. It's the only way to go to A to A plus, A plus to A plus plus. I congratulate the departments of commerce in arranging this excellent lecture from Dr. Kumaresan. On behalf of Vistas, I invite Dr. Kumaresan again and again to deliver this interesting talk. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for spending valuable time with us.
Thank you, sir.
I wish all the faculty members a good day, happy day, successful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. With your guidelines, so we have organized the very essential event in need of the hour. outcome based education, and we are very happy for your gracious presence in between the busy schedule. And once again, I am thanking Kumaresan sir for your valuable information, and you have explored about the very essential terms, objectives and outcomes. Normally we people have the money, even the faculty, the professors, we don't know the exact difference between the objectives and outcomes. The very points you maintain, objectives is the entry point and outcomes is the exit point. This will make the faculty and the students to go with. This is Dr. Venila Shri, Commerce Corporate. Once again, I request our beloved HOD, Dr. Chandran sir, to start with the question answer session. Sir?
Thank you, madam. Thank you, thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Sir, Kumaresan sir, we have given a wonderful presentation, elaborately in connection with the outcome-based education. We learn the following different terms. That is a program education outcome, program course outcomes, program outcomes, course outcomes. How what are the similarities and dissimilarities between these outcomes? It has given the elaborate, powerful, elaborate, wonderful presentations, sir. Thank you very much. Whereas from my side, I just want to ask some questions. What are the steps to
Sir?
Yes?
Sir?
Maybe due to network. Professor Andal, please check with it.
Ma'am, there is a network issue. That's why
Okay.
it's not audible.
Please make it correct.
Sir, he will post his question after the network gets corrected, and I have got a question.
Okay, Professor Andal, please go with. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Question, sir.
Sir is ready.
from my side, I will ask one question.
Sir.
Sir, what are the steps to be adopted for writing the course or outcome education? For course outcome.
Hello.
Sir, hello, am I audible, sir?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir, am I audible, sir?
Sir, some echo is there. Hello.
1 minute, sir.
எக்ஸைட் ஆகி அப்படியே கத்துற எனக்கு அதுதான்ப்பா புரியல. அது சாதாரணமா பேசுறேன். அது எனக்கு புரியல. அது உனக்கு தெரியுதுன்னு எனக்கு புரிஞ்சுக்க மாட்டேங்குது.
Hello, sir.
Sir, please, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, from my side, I will ask, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, what are the steps to write the course outcomes?
Sir?
What are the steps to be adopted for writing the course outcomes?
Course
Sir,
outcome.
he's asking what are the steps to be followed to adopt the course outcomes.
Yes. For writing the course outcomes, I have given you in my presentation itself. No. So it should be started with verb, that is to action verb, and it should be followed with a statement. I told you no. See, the students are able to understand. For example, in the case of bearish market and bullish market, see, bullish market is there where the share prices are increasing, and bearish market is there where the prices are decreasing. Right? In these two situations, how our students will be able to offer suggestions for earning profit under both of these situations. Normally, buy and sell strategy is there, buy and hold strategy is there, hold and sell strategy is there. some offer for sale is made, some offer for buying is made. So where to buy when to buy the shares, when to sell the shares, and how to earn the profit, either by buying or by selling the shares. So in the share market, we normally say that we can earn profit if the prices is going on. If the prices is increasing, we say that we can earn profit. For example, if we have bought shares, 1,000 shares at the rate of rupees 10. So we have bought 1,000 shares at the rate of 10 and we are holding these shares. Now we see the market is witnessing an increase in 10. So 1,000 shares at rupees 10. What is our investment? 10,000. Now the share price, the market price of share is rupees 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So it is increasing during the past few days. If we sell the shares at the rate of 17, we can earn a profit of rupees 7 per share. It is obvious. If the trend is upward or increasing, then we can earn the profit that we know. But the students should be taught in such a way that they have to think logically, they have to think critically, they should be able to evaluate or think differently how they can earn profit even during the downward trend, bullish trend. See, if we have bought the shares at rupees 10 per share, now the market price is 8 per share. Market price is 8. So the next day it will be 7. The next day it will be 6. The next day it will be 5, like that. It will be in the downward trend. So under this trend, if you want to earn profit, how can you earn the profit? See, what is the actual price of share? Where when you bought, the price was rupees 10. Now the price is rupees 8. If you sell the shares at rupees 8 now, you will be having a loss of rupees 2 per share. Right? So now you are going to face a loss of rupees 2 per share. So after 3 days or 4 days, the price will come down to rupees 4 or rupees 5. So at that time, if you buy the same shares at rupees 5, so what is the original cost? Original price? It was rupees 10. What loss you have incurred during the time of selling? Rupees 2 per share you have lost. Now the same shares of the face value rupees 10 is being bought at rupees 5. So how much you are earning? 10 rupee share is now bought at rupees 5. So you have a profit of rupees 5. You subtract the loss incurred when you sold the shares, rupees 2. So what is the net profit? You are earning a profit of rupees 3. So even during the bullish trend or during the bearish trend, if you are prudent, if you are able to manage the things, definitely you can earn the profit. So this kind of attitude, this kind of skill should be inculcated among the students. So this is what the way in which we can achieve our own course outcome. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our faculty professor, Dr. Andal, has some questions which have been collected from the audience. So it's over to Andal. Dr. Andal, you can go with.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, I have a question.
Yes, madam.
Actually, when you are presenting when you are presenting, you mentioned that we need to have 3 to 5 years evaluation.
Yes.
So you mean to say that that is BCom degree is over in 3 years, and the student
Yes.
goes out. Mostly, we won't be having touch with most of the students. But according to
Yes.
your presentation, you mean to say that we have to constant, we have to have a constant touch with them, and we have to evaluate their
Yes.
outcome, no, sir?
Yes.
So we have to have a touch for 3 to 5 years. It means that.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that's what. But actually, we are not doing that right now, sir.
Yes, yes, madam.
We have
See,
a touch. We have a touch. We have alumni meeting. Everything is going on. But we will not
Okay.
be having touch with the 10% students, all the students. But
Okay.
we have to have a touch with all the students, I hope.
Okay, okay. See, madam, our responsibility is not just teaching, not just producing the graduates, but the graduates should be responsible citizens. They should be socially responsible. They should be individually responsible, and they should achieve in their life. Their achievement is also our own responsibility. So we have to keep in touch with them constantly, and whether they are working towards the achievement of their own individual goals, their own personal goals. So this is the way in which they can proceed to achieve the goals. That is what we have to inculcate among them. Even during the course of their program, we should be able to understand what is their ambition, what is their aim, what is their goal in their life, whether these goals are in alignment with our course outcomes, our program outcomes. That is why I told you that assessment is made within 3 to 5 years after the completion of graduation, and this assessment will be used as a basis for improving our program outcomes. If our program outcomes is not enough or not sufficient to make them good citizens or make them achieving in their career or in professional life, we should realign our program objectives as well as the program outcomes. Okay, madam?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So
Thank
your
you.
presentation gave us a in-depth sight as to what is OBE and what are the steps to be followed in OBE. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you.
Vidya ma'am.
Is there any other questions from
No,
the
ma'am.
audience?
No, ma'am.
No, sir, thank you very much for clarifying all the doubts, and especially for the outcomes. Nowadays, digital modes help us to have the great contacts with the students,
Yes.
and we are not missing. Of course, Facebook is a base method through which we are getting all the people who are settled with all the faculty who are settled with good jobs, and even we are calling them for alumni resource person